One of Emma Frost's biggest counters in Season 2 of Marvel Rivals are flyers. Because of how short her effective range is, they'll be impossible to reach, which really sucks when you have heroes like the Human Torch dominating the meta. But there actually is a solution for this problem. Enter Rocket Raccoon with his jump pack. If you have the jump pack available, then all you have to do is get underneath the flyer, trigger your diamond form, and then activate the jump pack to shoot up, where you then can grab the flyer and perform my RKO back against the ground. Do note that if you are high up enough, then you won't actually hit the ground, because they cancel certain flyer ultimates and knock them into walls for the combo. But that is not all. Marvel Rivals have so many cool heroes and synergies, and while most people know about the team-ups, there's still so many insanely strong ability combinations that not many outside of the top 500 and even then actually know about or actively use. And some of these easily make a huge difference in your performance in game. And as I always say, knowing is half the battle, which is why I want to tell you guys about my private coaching community, the ottr Dojo. If you're like me and you solo queue a lot, you know the struggles that come with that. Teammates get tilted, or they go AFK, or nobody's communicating or playing together, and there's no synergy whatsoever, and that leads to inconsistencies and frustrating games no matter what you do. The ottr Dojo, my private coaching community, was created to bring together everyone just like you that are looking to improve and to grind and become better players. Inside, you can find great teammates, a community of like-minded, supportive players, and weekly classes and so much more, led by me as I share how I continually keep grinding into Celestial and top 500 and really whatnot. So if you're sick of grinding ranked and want some help along the way, click the link in the description or the pinned comment to join my community. I'll see you all there, and back to the video. Anyways, moving on. That's not the only way that Rocket's jump pack can enhance Emma's abilities. As an Emma, activating your ultimate and getting any meaningful impact with it can be hard when the enemies are right in your face, especially the tanks, and the targets that you actually do want to stun are way behind them. But if you have the jump pack, then you can start your ultimate and then jump pack above them to stun and disrupt the enemy backline, and there's not really much they can do about it. You have enough airtime to get a few stunts off before you land again, and since your ultimate doesn't stun any faster no matter the range or angle, you don't really have to worry about being too far away as long as they're actually in range in the first place. After which, you can just walk in and clean them up alongside your team. This next combo has actually always been possible, but it is a lot easier to pull off in Season 2 thanks to the changes to Hulk's jump. If a 4 walks up close enough to an enemy and uses his dash ability straight up into the air, then he will grab that enemy with him and place him in a very predictable arc straight upwards. This can then be followed up with Hulk jumping straight into it, knocking the enemy down and applying one of the strongest stunts in the game. And thanks to their cooldowns, this can be spammed over and over and over again for a really long time until the enemy is dead or really tilted. Another great combo that I really love is just a great way to optimize your damage as an Emma. If a Groot hits a fatty ultimate, then up to 6 people will be stuck very close together. Since your kicks and melee damage counts as a cleave damage that even pierces shields, this means you could deal a ton of damage per second and an insane amount of damage to the enemies over the course of the entire Groot ult, which can be enough to wipe all of them and, most importantly, build you a ton of ultimate charge. Just watch out so you don't die. Another valuable Emma Frost combination is even better if you have something like a Hawkeye or Black Widow on your team, basically a high precision, high damage hero. If you as an Emma call that you're going for a grab, then this can immediately be followed up with focus fire by your teammates, who will get an extremely easy headshot on the enemy who's now stuck inside of the grab animation. If they for whatever reason do survive, then it can be followed up with even more damage and even additional stuns by the rest of your teammates if necessary. What's even better is that since the grab penetrates shields, this also means you can destroy shield tanks the same way or grab enemies that are cowering behind those shields as well. Sometimes if the enemy Cloak and Dagger or Invisible Woman ults, and I have a teammate with a one-shot ability, or a Magneto charging his ultimate up for the counter, then I would try to grab them to keep them in place and make it easier for my teammates to land that easy finisher. What makes Emma grabbing through shields even better is that it lets you immediately take a shield out of the equation. If you have a Scarlet Witch in a team who pops her ultimates, and the enemy team has a Magneto or Doctor Strange that holds a shield up to block it, then you could just walk up to them, pop your diamond form, and then grab the tank. This stops them from being able to shield their teammates, and the Scarlet Witch will get a kill on the tank, and maybe even more if you're hiding behind it. Another really underrated use for Emma's shield is combining it with placeables. If your team has something like a Penny Parker who has a spider nest that needs additional health, then you can pop the shield if your enemies are trying to break it. If your friendly Rocket Raccoon pops its ultimate, placing your shield in front of it will keep it alive for that much longer, and depending on the situation, you could even place a shield in front of your own Loki's runes to stop the enemies from breaking them for quite a while longer. Moving on, Invisible Woman can easily counter Hela's ultimate if she has a Strange on her team. As many know, if Hela ults, Dr. Strange can just fly up and block his ultimate with his shield to stop it from doing any hard damage, but it comes with one fatal flaw. Hela will have time for 2 more shots at the tail end or the start of his block, which can be enough to secure a kill. If Invisible Woman places a barrier in front of Dr. Strange as he is up there, then that adds a shield that blocks 250 more health, which is enough to tank 2 more shots and completely negates the outgoing damage of her ultimate. Moving on, you probably know that Namor's ult deals 500 damage in the middle of his ultimate, enough to kill a squishy, and 200 damage in the outer circle, which is enough to hit him for a lot and stun him. But what you probably don't know is that by combining Luna Snow's ultimate damage boost when the well hits adds another 40% damage, which bumps that inner rim damage up to 700, and most importantly, the outer rim to 280. This means that any squishy within the outer circle will also get one shot, and since they are earthbound, it will be impossible for them to escape. Something that might seem obvious at first, but after my grind of solo queuing to Celestial as Black Widow, apparently isn't, is that while Black Widow can't one-shot any heroes by default, by adding a little bit of damage boost, that puts her over the edge to one-shot most squishies in the game. A typical headshot deals 240 damage, but if boosted by something as simple as a Mantis damage boost or Storm when she's using the damage boost from her passive, then the damage exceeds 250, meaning you can one-shot most squishies as long as they don't have 275 health and above. As of Season 2, this combo is even a little bit stronger, since Mantis can stack her damage boosts up for up to 16 seconds at a time, and then let the Black Widow run along on her own and get those one-shots for quite a long while. Larger damage boosts from ultimates such as Luna Snows or Rocket Raccoons, even with its nerf of Season 2, will put you over the 275 damage breakpoint and let you one-shot any squishies that you want. What is great about this combo is that if you're on a flank, then you can easily rattle off a free shot on an enemy priority target before they realize you're there and can get behind cover. But not only that, but you can also take down the same target by using 2 body shots instead of 1 headshot a body shot or 3 consecutive body shots. And body shots will be a lot more convenient if you're struggling to hit those pesky headshots. Another great use of damage boost will be through Venom's one-shot combo. If Venom dives in on an enemy support, uses his secondary fire, pops his ultimate, and then uses it right before the secondary fire hits, then he can easily deal somewhere in the range of 200 to 300 damage, if not more. But if you combine this with any other damage boost, be it Luna Snows, Mantis, Rockets, you name it, then that damage is significantly higher. And if your targets end up getting healed or you missed any part of your combo, then hitting that one shot is guaranteed. Hell, with Luna Snow's 40% damage boost, Venom's ultimate is almost enough to one-shot the squishies on their own. Another great synergy, or I guess ultimate combination if you want to call it that, is something we've seen pop up in pro play recently, and at the very least in top 500. Winter Soldier's ultimate is pretty good and all, but can easily be countered by support ultimates. In fact, most aggressive ultimates can usually be countered by a defensive one. What the pros realized is that if you combine 2 aggressive ultimates, especially ones with heavy crowd control, such as the Groot ultimate or Thing ultimate or even Emma Frost's ultimate, then even if the enemy team does pop their defensive ultimates, such as Luna Snow's or Invisible Woman's, then by adding Winter Soldier's ultimate into the mix, this lets you and your team burst through that damage on the static targets that much more easily, and even give Winter Soldier an increasing amount of resets and burst damage as you keep cleaning up the free kills. What matters here is ensuring that you and your team is focusing the same target, the one marked by his ultimate, or the combination just won't work. Using Winter Soldier's ultimate through enemy support ultimates, even Luna's, can even be beneficial sometimes if you have the one-shot heroes on your team, such as Black Widow or Hawkeye, or even Magneto with his ultimate. Marked enemies will instantly die when their health drops under 15%, which is enough even for the weaker one-shots, such as Black Widow's, even without that additional damage boost to one-shot with a headshot. Moving on, if Emma Frost places a crystal on her target and then beams them through the crystal to the point where it breaks, then she will burst the enemy down for up to 75% of their maximum health in a very short period of time, which, if you think math is hard, leaves them at 25% health. For almost all targets, this is enough for Winter Soldier to pop his ultimate right when the crystal breaks and get an instant one-shot on them. Since he only needs to get them under the 15% threshold, the damage from the ultimate will be enough to bring them under it. They'll never see it coming. Some other incredibly valuable combinations that, if done right, can lead to the entire team wipes are, of course, Groot's ultimate or Thing's ultimate combined with Moon Knight or Namor's ultimate. If they're placed in the right way, with, for example, the center of Namor's ultimate being right on top of the Groot ultimate, then they will be able to one-shot the enemy team, even if defensive ultimates or shields are being used. And even if the enemy team does invest a lot of resources into surviving, that won't stop most of them from getting picked, which lets you fight the team fight with a huge man advantage and resource advantage, which most of the time will end up being in your favor thanks to time ticking down and your own ultimates being charged. Another really good combination this season that you can use, especially on the defensive side, doesn't even include ultimates and can absolutely destroy flankers that jump in your face if you're playing a Luna, Snow, and Mantis. It even helps with the big chunky ones such as Venom, but it will require some coordination to pull off. If you get Dove as a Mantis or a Luna, and Mantis manages to land asleep, then you have a small window to deal damage before the target wakes up from any additional damage. After the small window has closed, then Luna, Mantis, and any potential damage dealers you have around you should coordinate a burst of damage, after which Luna immediately follows that up with a snowball. After the snowball hits, you have a half of a second to deal even more damage before the damage will unfreeze the enemy, and if you did this right, then there's a big chance they're already dead before the freeze is over, and even if they survive, they'll be in such a bad shape that they'll have to run away or die right afterwards. Now, as I said, this combo is even stronger in Season 2, now that we have Emma Frost, as she can open the combo with her diamond form and grab, punch the enemy into a wall, then letting Luna hit the freeze, followed by the Mantis, and by then there's no way the enemies will survive, especially with the burst from Emma. Even better, if you place a crystal on the enemy right before Luna hits her freeze, then you'll be able to charge it up and hit them for an even larger burst. And while the divers may or may not expect that combo, they definitely won't expect the next one because it is specifically designed to throw these enemies off guard. On most maps, using an ability out of spawn will be too far away from the action for the enemies to even hear the voice lines, and if they do, they're usually gonna assume it was a fat finger and write it off. But after watching this video, you know it wasn't. Many forget that almost all, if not all, ultimates can be combined with Doctor Strange's portal in a very high capacity, but some ultimates, such as Scarlet Witches or the Punishers, have a bit of a wind-up to them, along with a very loud voice line that alerts the enemy team of a huge threat. But since the portal doesn't carry sound at all, then you can activate these abilities in spawn and then place a strange portal right next to the enemy team to catch them off guard and absolutely destroy them. Ideally, you want to start the portal right before the ultimate is started to get the most value out of it, where the portal would open up right before Scarlet has her ultimate blow up. But since it doesn't carry sound, activating the ultimates after the portal has been placed can work just as fine, but is oftentimes less effective. But the portal shenanigans don't stop there. For example, if Doctor Strange places his portal in a way where Punisher can set up his turret behind it, and then places the end portal so Punisher has a good view of the enemies, with additional bonus points if the end portal is placed slightly diagonally, as this gives Punisher a higher chance for additional splash damage, then Punisher can get a ton of damage off as soon as the portal goes up, and before the enemies can get out of the way or behind shields. Additionally, Doctor Strange can combine his portal with heroes such as 4 for some crazy results. If 4 starts his ultimate and slams through a strange portal that's placed on the ground with the end portal placed diagonally or even vertically, then he will get launched outwards like if you shot him out of a ray gun, dealing devastating damage to any targets that he hits. The same logic applies with Rocket Raccoon's jump pack. If you use a jump pack through a portal placed above you that has an end portal placed diagonally or horizontally, then all of your upwards momentum gets converted into the diagonal or horizontal momentum, which can launch you straight into the enemy team. This is especially useful if you're using certain ultimates that are better if you get really close or in unexpected positions or angles, such as Scarlet Witch with her ultimate. Since the ability creates upward momentum, this means that it can be abused with map geometry as well. By creating a jump pack against certain ledges, that vertical momentum gets converted into horizontal instead. These ramps can also be created artificially with 2 diagonal Groot walls that either a Groot or a teammate can take to then launch them into the direction wherever the ramp is pointing. The jump pack can be enabled in the middle of a ton of abilities, even active ones. For example, not many know that heroes like Wolverine can yoink an enemy and then activate the jump pack while midair to keep soaring forward, significantly extending the range of their grab, which oftentimes makes it impossible to get back from. But moving on with Jeff, some of his abilities, especially his ultimate ability, have a ton of uses, probably even more than the ones I'm going to list in the video. But a few synergies that really stood out to me had to do with eating enemies, for example the Scarlet Witch combination, where Jeff ults as many of the enemy team as possible and then spits them out into Scarlet Witch right when she is about to explode. Also, quick side note, you have 6 seconds to spit the enemies out, and it takes 4 seconds for Scarlet Witch's ultimate to blow up. So as a Scarlet Witch, you can wait to confirm that they've been swallowed, and it is a big ultimate before popping your ultimate before Jeff can spit them out. And while that one is pretty fun, it could be better because you're winning a fight for free, but you're not really charging any ultimates out of it. So a better combination that is equally destructive can be combining Jeff with Groot. If Groot builds a small Fortnite-style prison, then Jeff can spit all of his victims into that prison, which lets the lashes from the walls while deal an insane amount of damage, which is probably one of the fastest DPSs per second in the game, by the way, to anyone inside of it. This not only blows the enemies up with damage, it forces them to be stuck in an unfavorable position and lets him and potentially other teammates charge their ultimates up for free. And as you can see in this very video, having a Groot ult is pretty damn valuable in more ways than one. The inverse of the Jeff Groot combo can be valuable as well. If Groot pops an ultimate and the enemy team uses their defensive ultimates, then they'll be stuck in one place and very easy for Jeff to eat, which can give you enough time for your team to reset or Jeff to hurl the remainder of the enemy team off of the map for a free fight win. Additionally, if you're playing another hero with a massive stun ability such as the Thing, Doctor Strange, Emma Frost, you get it, and the enemies pop their support ultimates after you hit a massive stun, then Jeff could pop his own ultimate to yeet the otherwise safe enemies off the map and still win you the fight, even though they invested even more ultimates to turn it. Moving on with some more supports, Invisible Woman has a ton of specific ability synergies that really make her teammates shine. She's not just healing and dummy thick, but she can be so much more. Some of my favorite specific ones are putting your shield in front of Punisher turret, which gives us the Overwatch beta Bastion. She can also keep spamming her shield on her teammates that are using their ultimates and continually moving up, such as the Punisher or Star-Lord or Scarlet Witch, and so much more. But that's not all. Invisible Woman is a great hero to have in your corner if you're using any of the annoying displacement heroes such as Wolverine or Winter Soldier, and even Emma. If you're positioned correctly, then you can follow up their initial displacement with a force polar push as well as a psionic vortex that slows them down and makes it impossible for them to run back to their team. If you want to be really annoying, you could give Wolverine a jump pack, make him yoink a target, jump pack, have Bucky hook and then punch him to the Invisible Woman, who then pushes them and puts a psionic vortex to keep them in place. This is also usually known as the assembly line strat. Another really cool combo that I still don't see many do, probably because it is a bit wonky to pull off, is the Black Widow and Hawkeye team up. Sure, it is a team up, but what's so cool about this one specifically is that Black Widow's ultimate deals area of effect damage, which deals individual damage to the enemy after images. All of this damage gets combined, meaning you can get your own ultimate several times worth in damage, despite only hitting a singular target, which can make it a one-shot against any squishies within range. It is really strong against support ultimates, since they don't expect a one-shot and usually are gathered up in the same place to stay alive in the first place. There's a ton more synergies out there, and I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Once we have discovered enough, I'm going to drop a new video, but if you are interested in seeing them as I find out about them or hear about them, make sure to join us over at the ottr dojo. Again, that link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to get even better at Marvel Rivals, check out the video on the screen. Peace out.